If you'd like to contact the show, send us an email at liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com or get involved in the conversation on social media. Join the Pearl Jam Podcast community group on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at liveonfourlegspod.
And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Gentlemen, Mama Queen. Matt fucking Cameron in the drum. Mr. Boom Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Hey everybody now, welcome to Live on Four Legs, a definitive live Pearl Jam podcast, and today's a special episode. We're going to do a little bit of an interview today with a guest that we've never spoken to before. Ellie Honig is going to join our show. He's a CNN legal analyst, and I mean, like, this guy's credentials, it's incredible what he's done. He graduated from Harvard Law. He was the Assistant Attorney General of New Jersey from 2012 to 2018, and he is a massively passionate Pearl Jam fan, especially the old school stuff. And it was a fantastic conversation. Let's introduce ourselves though. Randy Sobel over here, John Furr over there.
Hello.
And John, this is going to be a really great conversation that we have with him. I can't wait to show everybody. He's got a lot of feelings for this band.
Absolutely. And he talked a lot about the early years, and it hit, it hit for me so many things from back in the day too. Cause he's a little older than me, but we were in some of the same things. He had some of those same, we always talk about those touchstones that we all share, from those early days. And yeah, he definitely had some of those, but yeah, it just goes to show, like, you never know, like, you get these people and, Pearl Jam fans come in all shapes and sizes. So he's a great example of that.
Yeah, it's a good walk down memory lane. And like I said, he's a very early Pearl Jam fan. So like this stuff, he's getting back into this stuff, and he did a wish list for Pearl Jam Radio recently. So like, great to talk to him. And really, how else are you going to start a conversation with somebody about Pearl Jam that you don't know anything about what their relationship with Pearl Jam is? And you just got to start from the start. So how did he find out about them? How did he first get into them? Well, here's his answer.
So let me ask you guys the first question.
Okay.
What would be the perfect year that a human being could be born where Pearl Jam, thinking about their timeline, would hit you the hardest? Like the most direct impact? What year would you be born?
I would say probably you would have to be like a 13 or 14-year-old in 1991, 92.
So,
what do you think?
John, what do you say? So
yeah, I was born in 1978. And it hit me pretty hard. So I'm going to go with that.
I'm 1975. And I can tell you firsthand, I'm 46. So
thanks.
But listen, they hit when I was 16 years old. Right. And I have a very clear memory of seeing 10 on display in Sam Goody. You guys remember, Sam Goody, right?
Oh, yeah.
Record store in the mall, Cherry Hill Mall. Correction, fact check, Echelon Mall in New Jersey. This is important to New Jersey people, which mall.
Okay.
But I remember going into Sam Goody, and just to give you my mind frame at this point, I was not a metal head. I loved Guns N' Roses, but I thought Motley Crue and that stuff was stupid. And I just Nirvana had already hit, but my thing at this time was hip hop. I was a hip hop. I mean, I was, Tribe Called Quest, LL, Run DMC, Public Enemy, all that. And I remember seeing their album cover on display in Sam Goody, and I knew what Nirvana was, but I remember thinking, like, what is that? Right? Because, it could have been anything if you think about it. Try to put yourself back in that mindset. You don't know this band. and they have this purple cover, and they're only sort of in silhouette, right? So you can't really see their faces. You can't even really tell, like, are they white? Are they black? What are they? And they're wearing these clothes that are almost hip hop-ish, right? Because all the baggy and the hats and everything.
Sure.
And I was like, is this like a, like a punk metal band? Like, I mean, Limp Bizkit didn't arrive yet, but I was like, is this like a group that does like rap and metal, or like, what is this? And I wasn't all that interested. I mean, by this point, Smells Like Teen Spirit had exploded. And I kind of at some point realized that they fell sort of in that bucket, although we can talk Pearl Jam versus Nirvana later. I have pretty strong feelings there in Pearl Jam's favor. But, their first song that I really remember being aware of, it was Jeremy, which to this day, I don't like. I don't like that song. It's one of the only songs I just skip. I'm just not interested. Maybe forgive me if this is blasphemy to Pearl Jam, connoisseurs like yourself.
I think we've heard it from both directions.
Okay. And Jeremy was, I think their only video on MTV, right? They did their concert performances where Eddie's climbing the rafters and stuff. But I think their only sort of, artistic-y video was Jeremy. And I just was like, doesn't do it for me. I graduate high school. I get to college at Rutgers in Jersey, freshman year, mid 93. And it's just like, bam, just completely in love with it. Everyone on my floor was into it. It clicked so hard with me. It was like, I think it's like when someone tries a drug for the first time and is like, oh my God, and realize sort of the brilliance of 10, I guess a little belatedly, and what was so fun about digging into 10, what was so sort of intoxicating was, I knew Jeremy, I knew Black, I knew Even Flow and that kind of thing, but finding songs like Porch and Oceans and going like, oh my goodness, like that's like, you wouldn't hear that on the radio. Right. And then Verses came out a month into my freshman year. And again, we can kick this around, but I think
everybody's got a good Verses story. So go right ahead.
Right. But I was going to say, like, which is better? I mean, I think there's a case, depending on the day, I can say, I mean, Verses is so stacked. It's so good. And from then on, it was just, I mean, I can't claim to quite the level of expertise and fandom as you guys, nowhere near that, but I had them forever and I was never going to let go. And, then Vitology came out, and this is my concert story, but Vitology came out my sophomore year, and those three albums, gosh, what a first three. I don't know that any band can equal those first three. So that's a sort of how it hit me. But college, man, when I hear this stuff, it brings me right back to college. But also, I think one of the great things about their stuff is it carries over the years, and it's sort of a lot of the songs change meaning as you, not to get overly sentimental, but as you grow in life. So
Absolutely. We were actually just talking about that with Present Tense.
Yeah.
Like when it came out on No Code, and people were kind of souring on No Code. Later on, around like 2006 or so, when that Letterman performance came out, people just had this realization, whoa, okay, I'm a little bit older now. I get this. I understand what this is about.
100%. Or I don't know if you guys have kids, but like when you have a kid, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
John, kids?
Yeah, no? I have two little ones. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, a song like Footsteps just changes, right? When you have kids. And Randy, you'll see this someday soon.
I already love Footsteps, so that's not too.
Yeah.
The one that I'm anticipating change on is Future Days, because that I never I never really liked, and I was there for the debut of the song, and I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. I'm a single guy. I'm in my 20s, just really not digging it. But now, my wife really likes the song, and I'm like, oh, the minute the baby's born, I'm like, that's it. It's gonna hit me. I know it.
Listen, but my youngest brother is a big fan, like you guys level fan, and he has a almost 2-year-old, and it's like, it's even more meaningful for him now. So I see him going through that too. It's great. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so I've noticed like in my 40s, I don't get a lot out of 10 and Verses anymore. Like I've gotten what I need out of those records, but stuff like No Code and Yield, and even the later stuff, like some stuff off of Lightning Bolt, some stuff of Avocado, even in my 40s, I can still get new stuff out of that. Those are deep albums.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know. Do I get anything new out of Verses in 10? Maybe not, but I still, man, I still love them though.
Nostalgia purposes, it's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can go on a run with Versus, especially because Versus just have so many powerful tracks in it. If you just want a
Oh,
good record to go drive during the middle of the day, like put on
totally.
Versus at full blast, and that's right there, perfect.
I mean that album is just, I was looking back a little bit at the ordering of the songs on the different albums, because you all, I guess, are old enough to remember when that mattered, right? The numbering of the songs, right? I
still consider it a big deal. Absolutely.
Yeah, and my kids, my kids are 15 and 13. Like the concept of even, I mean, it's trite to say this, but it's true. Even the concept of an album, like the idea of album filler, the idea of having things beyond the top 40 hits is like not a thing. And then the importance of ordering. And I want to run something by you guys, because you guys I want to get your opinion on something. But let me set it up if I can with my first concert story.
Sure, please
do. So it is spring break for me of my sophomore year in college, and I am right in the just absolute throes of fandom. Vitology has just come out. I think, yes, Vitology has just come out. It is end of 94, let's say December of 94. I'm home, I'm bored, I'm with my parents, it's snowing, it's Jersey, all this. And I hear on radio, terrestrial radio, I'm not talking Sirius XM, I'm talking probably like 94 YSP or something, an ad that Pearl Jam is going to be playing 2 concerts in DC at Constitution Hall. And this is right when Pearl Jam was like mixing it up with Ticketmaster, right? And the internet barely existed at this point. And you had to send in postcards to a certain address, and they said, we'll be picking winners. So I'm like, let's do this. And I drive to the post office. This feels all so old fashioned now. And I bought 50 postcards and 50, whatever they were, 14-cent stamps. And I wrote out 50 times. Like I didn't have the technology to, print out labels or anything. Wrote out 50 times, whatever the PO box was, and just sent them in. And like a week or two later, I went, actually, I don't know how I remember this, but to a Sixers game. And I came home and my mom said, you got some call, something with tickets or something. And I was like, oh, what? Oh, what? Did you? And she said, yeah, I wrote it down. So I called back, and unfortunately, I can't remember the exact procedure, but it was Byzantine to get tickets. So basically someone said, you won 2 tickets. You can buy 2, not any more than 2, not any less than 2. Immediately called my college roommate who just, I just talked to the other day. We did a little bit of reminiscing, and you had to we went down to DC. I don't even believe there were paper ticket stubs, because I'm pretty sure I would have saved it, but your name got on a list and you had to verify it. It was like this. You saw why ultimately their fight against Ticketmaster was an uphill struggle, because they kind of tried to come up with their own system. But the tickets, I think, were if I remember right, $30, dirt cheap. I mean, and this is the band at arguably the height of their powers. I mean,
Absolutely.
This is months after Vitology has come out, right?
Yep.
And Constitution Hall is not a big venue. Have you all either of you guys been there?
No, but seeing, I think the 98 show is on YouTube, and I watched that before. So yeah, you could see how small it is.
I found clips
6,000 or so, maybe.
Yeah, I found clips of the show I was at. It's funny because it's before it was really, an offense to video record anything, and nobody had phones. You couldn't just sort of, discreetly hold up your phone. But some dude must have had a little handheld, but you can see him putting it up and then sneaking it down, and then you see the back of the guy in front of him, and then up, and then it's really annoying. But Constitution Hall, I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm sure you could Google it, but I'm guessing 3,000 seats, maybe 2,000, and it's this beautiful indoor. I don't know. It seems like it was built as a theater or an orchestra hall or something. Right in the heart of DC. I ended up living in DC for 3 years, right by the White House, and I mean the acoustics were insane. And it was this limited show. I just remember, and this is where I want to get to. They opened, of course, with Release, right? And I know Release has sort of become the Ricky Henderson of Pearl Jam, the obvious leadoff hitter, right? To talk, baseball with you guys. But the thing is, if you go back to that mindset, I remember, and by the way, this is before you could Google, show me every set list from Pearl Jam. That didn't exist. So you were what are they going to open with? There were bootlegs out there in certain record stores, but you had no idea. And I remember being shocked by that, because Release is the last track, I believe, on 10. I think it's
Correct.
the 11th track.
11th, right.
So I always thought of it as a closer, right? Like a Mariano Rivera or whatever, mixing my batting and pitching metaphors here. But I always thought of it as a closer, and it struck me as such an unusual opener. So let me ask you guys this. Roughly what percent, and I've heard you guys talk about there's release shows and there's go shows. Goes the other one, right?
There's tons. There's Oceans, there's Wash, there's
the opener sets the mood. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But like, what percent of Pearl Jam shows have opened with release? Is it like 50%?
No,
10
to 15%.
Release has been played less than 200 times, I believe.
Is that right?
172.
Oh, okay.
And that's
wow.
not discount. That's 91 shows. It's shows in 1990 and 91 where there's no set list known. That's not counting that. But,
Gotcha.
But there's about 1,000 shows that we know of, so about 17%. Yeah.
So actually, so I thought it was way more than that.
However, this is interesting because every time that they played the song from, I believe maybe that show. Just double checking the numbers on this.
But they always played it in a big moment, so it seems like it gets played early more than it actually has.
Every time it was played from late 93 up until 2008, it was used as an opener.
So, okay, interesting. So that's probably why I have that perception. But my question for you guys is Release a good opener? Because if you think about it, it's not a typical opener, right? I always think of an opener like something with a very recognizable lick, right? Like Welcome to the Jungle or something like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's this slow hymnal build to it. I think it's a brilliant opener, but I'm thinking, would it be better placed somewhere else? I don't think so. I think it's I think it's unorthodox, but having been there for, I think both of the I've only been to 2 live shows. I'll tell you guys, by the way. Both live shows I've been at, they opened with a release and it was like perfect. Like I think if I was doing their set list, I would have never said open with that.
Sure.
What do you guys think?
Well, if my first show, I got released as well. And I kind of headed into that thinking, okay, this is around the time that Avocado is out and every other band that I know will take their newest album and play the biggest song from their newest album. So I thought that they were going to open the show with Life Wasted because it's a big arena rock kind of anthem.
Yep.
And I was just kind of expecting that. So when Release comes out and I loved Release at the time, even for being like 20, 21 years old, however old I was when I saw him, it felt like a religious experience being there, especially at Madison Square Garden, seeing the entire crowd kind of hum along, like you mentioned, and it eased you into the show. And then I think the next song was probably Corduroy. And then once you hear the opening sound of Corduroy, you start jumping around, you get really excited, you get really energetic. So yeah, I think. And honestly, Release was used from day one as their opener. Like that's a thing that they've been doing since 1990.
Right.
It's different and no other bands really do it this way. I haven't found a lot of bands that have, followed this procedure, but yes, I think that it is an incredible opener. And, along with the other slow burn openers that they had, like I mentioned, Oceans and Wash and Of the Girl and Pendulum and a couple other of those, I like how they do that. And I think it just kind of sucks you in a different way.
Yeah. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it took me until Wrigley 2016 to see it. I think my 8th or 9th show, and I'd been chasing it for a long time. Like I always wanted to hear it, but I think like I said, they use it at these big moment shows to set a mood, and like it kind of sets the mood. Like, okay, tonight's going to be special. It's going to be a long show. Just settle in. We're going to be here for a while. We're all in there. We're taking this ride together. I think that's when they use it, and that's when it's most effective.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, both times when I saw it, it's just. It also has this build and this payoff too, because it really does. My dad, who is not of this era, he grew up with in the 60s and 70s, Springsteen, Hendrix, all that. My brother played Release for my dad. He just said, "I want you to hear this," and my dad said, "That sounds like a religious song." And we said, "Yeah, kind of, right?" With the the beginning almost sounds like do you remember that album that got hot in the 90s? Like it was like the monks of the whatever.
The Gregorian chants and all
Right,
that. Yeah.
exactly. It has a little bit of a Gregorian chant feel, but then it just, it blows up. And I don't know about the times you guys saw it, but they almost opened the show like behind a screen or a scrim or something. And it was sort of, in my memory, it was sort of like a purplish, reddish, almost like the cover of 10 cover. And then as the song built, the lights came up. And then when they hit that big, where it takes me, it just boom. And the lights went up and the screen came up, or they came out from it or something. And it was just like, here we go.
That's very interesting because that is not something like the stage setups and kind of like the theatrics like a band that U2 would do.
Right.
That's never really been them. They usually had like very generic backdrop, lightning bolt era. They've had the orbs that have come down, but nothing spectacular in that fashion of like, hey, when this part of the song hits, the curtain opens up.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, the whole stage slowly, as the song builds, became lighter and lighter, right? I think they even started playing in dark, if I remember right. And then it just built and it was, and there was that moment where they emerged or the thing came up. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that was sort of but you're right. Now that I think of it, it's pretty unusual for them.
But it's such a cool moment too, to have when, the lights go down and all you hear is that guitar riff and the voice. And you're like, yeah, that's a cool moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember that many concert moments like so clearly, but I remember that one really. And this was one that was just like dream come true. The top band for me at the time, right at the peak. I had to go through this procedure. Like it's easier to file your tax returns than it was to win these tickets. And in DC, in this place, oh my gosh, it was just utterly incredible. Eddie did not climb anything, unfortunately. I think they probably told. I think he would. He would. Can I tell you something that I have an observation about the band?
Please do. Yeah.
They are, to me, the secretly most athletic band that you will ever see. Because if you watch the documentaries and all that, okay, Eddie, those climbing routines, that was not like soft BS. That wasn't just for show. Like he was doing crazy stuff. He's hanging by one arm. He could literally have died. And then they show like Amen looks like he's pretty good on the basketball court. Obviously, they're all interested in basketball. Eddie's
He played college ball. Yeah.
Did Amen play college ball?
Yep.
He did.
Montana.
For who?
Montana, I believe.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Maybe it was like Montana Community. He went to Montana. I know that, but
right.
Yeah, just for 1 year, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So my question is like, is there any band that could beat them just in pickup? Let's say like, I know, like 5-on-5 or 4-on-4.
Oh boy.
They would imagine what they would do to you too.
God,
the Beastie Boys maybe back in the day.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we could think about the Beastie Boys. I don't know.
I know that there's like one other that's on the tip of my mind here, and I'm not thinking of it. But it might come back to me later.
Eddie has to be the most athletic front man, right? I mean, who are you going to put?
Probably, yeah. It's
Axl
not something I ever
Rose?
thought about before. Yeah, no, like most
Robert Plant. I mean, come on.
And it's funny that you mentioned this because I never really thought of it in that manner that a lead singer, a front man, had to have this kind of stamina to do like a 2+ 3 hour show. And one of the things that made me realize that, actually, there were two things. One was before Rage Against the Machine was supposed to go on tour this year, there was a video somewhere of Zach De La Rocca doing like CrossFit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He said that was his preparation for the tour and getting ready. And, he's in his 50s now, however old he is, and he hasn't been very active on the live stage for a long time. So that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And in an interview with Ed at one point, he actually mentioned that this was something that he got from Chris Chelios, but to get stamina and endurance, he put a stationary bike in a sauna. So so he can work off the sweat.
Right. Wow. I mean, and if you think about, especially when they were younger, I mean, the effort he put forth, I mean, even just to speak for 2 hours, just to give a 2-hour presentation is grueling, right?
Right.
I mean, I do, not that it's grueling, but I do TV and it's like, if you're on for a half hour, an hour, like it's intense, right? Because you're focused and it's live and, but physically, I mean, the stuff he used to do, I mean, it's not mandatory that you climb the scaffolding and jump into the crowd. That stuff is crazy. I'll tell you another one who's like that is Springsteen, right? Because he gives these epic, 3-hour, 3.5
stage, right?
And he stays in great shape. You can see it. And he's, I know people used to lift at the gym with him in Jersey, but yeah, it really is. You can't just let yourself go to crap.
Yeah, that was we saw Counting Crows a couple of years back, and I didn't really have I'm not a huge fan of theirs or anything like that, but I didn't have big expectations. But I didn't expect Adam Duritz to be like 40 or 50 pounds more than he was in the 90s and walking around the stage like kind of a a sad sap and,
Yeah.
you know, kind of kicking his feet. He really was kind of a petulant child looking. And we
Ugh.
left the show early, something I almost never do because he was just, it was not entertaining at all.
Yeah. Well, look, I think Pearl Jam will still be around for a long time. I mean, why not? Right? They seem to be in a good place mentally. Certainly, money's no issue for them.
Ed's got to lay off cigarettes. I don't know if he's fully quit, but that's the one thing that really worries me is the smoking.
But they also, as I think John said, or maybe both of you said, I mean, they've really evolved. They've changed, and you know, they're not going to be. Look, you probably don't want to. I mean, in concert you do, but it would be kind of weird if they came out with a banger like Porch or Rearview Mirror. You know,
Every now and again,
60,
it'll happen.
You think it'll happen?
Well, yeah, I sometimes, and maybe not in this era, but in like 2006, they would randomly bust out Alive to open a show with. They would randomly bust out Porch or Rearview Mirror. Like
right.
Saying it's happened before. It's once in a blue moon, but like those shows do pop in every now and again.
Oh, no. I'm saying they can absolutely still play those songs. I'm saying like a new song.
As the open. Sorry, what were you saying?
In other words, if they came out with a new album in 2024, are they going to have the equivalent of a song that just thrashes like one of those songs, like a new one?
Well, I mean, at one point, do you want to see a bunch of 60-year-olds playing Rearview Mirror?
Exactly.
Like
I want to see them. I want to see them play Rearview Mirror forever, but I don't want to see them try to do Rearview Mirror, the version of that would come out 5 years from now.
Right. They're very smart about, like you said, evolving and changing their style up and knowing what's working for them at the time. Because like you think of a song that's brand new, like Quick Escape, like that could have that kind of same vibe as one of those songs we were mentioning, because it's extremely fast. It's got and some electricity to it. Like, so they have some of that, but then again, they'll kind of retreat and they'll do some songs like Retrograde and River Cross that are more kind of in their more adult wheelhouse. So there's a little bit of they make enough room where they can kind of deal in their wheelhouse a little bit more. So, you know, while I don't think they'll ever write a song like Porch again, I think, I don't know. They might open with it at one point. Like they're full of surprises. So I would not be surprised if that happened.
That would be a great opener. That would be an aggressive opener. I like that. They and I will give them this. I've never once heard a Pearl Jam song on like an adult contemporary or like easy listening station. And it's kind of, now that you get old, if you ever, listen to a station like that or on Sirius XM, you'll hear Bon Jovi, you'll hear Aerosmith, and you're like, oh God, they're like, this is not how I pictured these guys. But I've never once heard Pearl Jam on a station like that.
I heard Better Man at the grocery store.
That's
Better Man is the one. Yeah.
Listen,
or maybe Last Kiss. I've never heard Last Kiss anywhere else.
Better Man. All right, that's a fair point.
So you went to one of two shows, and I think the other show that you went to was Randall's Island, right?
Randall's Island, which I believe, given the reaction of the guys at the Sirius XM station, is like a legendary show, right?
Oh, absolutely is. So were you at the first night or the second?
No, I was at day 2.
Okay, so that's the one.
Yeah. So they it's funny because I don't know if you know any of the guys over at Sirius XM, but I did the wish list for them.
I just did a wish list like 2
awesome.
weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I worked so hard on it.
I had to stew about it for a year. John did it last year. And after John did it, I thought,
it was a lot of fun.
I thought about it every day and I'm like, nope, that won't work. I gotta tell a story, but it was a lot of fun.
I gotta find yours. You guys have to send me clips to yours later.
I have it. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, but I was like, these guys are unbelievable. I was like, I don't know. It was maybe my mid 90s, and it was at Randall's Island. They were like, oh yeah, that's the whatever day. But that one was I was in college again at Rutgers. This is 2 or 3 years later. And we got a bus, and I don't know how the hell we got our act together to rent a bus, like a coach bus, and got like 40 or 50 of us up there. And, Randall's Island, just for those of you who don't know the geography of New York City, is sort of in the middle. It's an island, as it may sound. It's basically one island to the west of Rikers Island. Okay. So it's not easy to get to. And it's probably, as the crow flies, it was probably 25 miles from campus, and it probably took us 3 hours to get there. And, you're pre-drinking. and it's from memory, we left like at lunchtime. We left like in the middle of the day, and then for some reason ended up in a big like aggressive touch football drunken game in the parking lot. Like you always do too much beforehand, right? You're too excited and you drink too much and you exert too much energy. And then, but to me, it was like, man, they are meant to be seen this way because it was muddy. Like I guess it had poured the night before or something. And
Randall's Island is notoriously like anytime that there's any weather conditions, it takes almost like a month for it to heat up.
I mean, it was also like it was a big, ugly concrete bowl, and it was like a track, like a high school track, like around the perimeter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if it was a quarter mile or a half mile. It was the strangest thing. And if you got tired, because it was a long day and a long, great show, you could just go sit in the stand. Like there was nobody really in. They didn't sell tickets for like the concrete bleachers, basically. Like everyone was standing on the ground. I mean, there was, however many people, the place was packed and they were right at the height of their powers. But that to me was almost like, it was a different show because it was just a raw, grittier show, right? DC was like indoors in this acoustically perfect hall with seats with arms and backs and fold down things. It was almost like going to a high-end Broadway play or something. And then you get
trading 20 songs for 3 hours worth of show there.
Yes,
that was the longest shows from that era.
A long show. I remember a very physical mosh pit. I remember one of my friends got kicked in the face, like someone, went up on the crowd and my friend took a foot just right in the face. Ooh. And, was bleeding. It was fine. It was all right. But a very physical, like gritty, just go for it show. And they did a long one and they were feeling it. And, all the stuff that you would want to hear. I'm pretty sure they opened with Release as well that day. I think.
That sounds right. Yeah. And that show is known for, I think, during Animal, Ed saw somebody that was on the ground and they had to stop for like 5 minutes. There's a lot of things coming out of that.
Rings a bell. I mean, that seems to have happened a good amount with the Pearl crowd. I mean, they had, the horrible experience in what was it, like Switzerland or something? Where people
Denmark.
Yeah, Denmark. But no, I that rings a bell that he sort of mixed it up, with the crowd. So let me ask you guys this. I'm curious because I've been listening to your show and I'm interested in your views. What's your number 2 band? Like, you have one concert left to see. You can't see Pearl Jam. Who are you seeing?
Radiohead.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. Like I come from a little bit of a punk background, so I can say Bad Religion, but also REM is up there too. I guess I'll say Bad Religion because I've seen them a ton of times, and I used to kind of follow them in the same way that I follow Pearl Jam. So okay, I guess I'll say them.
Interesting.
What's yours?
Mine would be Springsteen. That's kind of default for Jersey guys, but if not them, and this will probably like kill my credibility. I do love U2, I have to say. I think they're a group I love, but I'll tell you my sort of Pearl Jam era, and I know all these bands are not interchangeable. The 2 that I've seen live, I saw Smashing Pumpkins recently, like a year or 2 years ago.
So did I, yeah.
And what'd you think?
It was okay. It was exactly what I expected. But
was it the one where they were playing the hits?
They're always playing the hits. That's the thing.
Mostly,
it's not special anymore. Like I went and I think it was like I saw them at Jones Beach, and I think it was like the 3rd night on the tour. And I'm notorious where I can't help myself. I'll go and look at the set list from the prior night.
Right.
I went and looked at the set list. Like, okay, I think they opened with what they
Soma or something,
Cherub Rock or something. Yeah,
maybe
like that. One of those. I can't remember. But they played the same exact set list. So I'm sitting there the whole time being like,
100%.
All right, we got about 45 minutes left.
It just same thing. I just pulled it up on my phone. I was like, here we go. Here's next. So let me tell you about this one experience that I had, which I think is a gem. Now, have either of you guys seen Pearl Jam or any concert at the old Spectrum in Philly?
No, I have not.
No.
Okay. So Pearl Jam is a band that's perfect for Philly, and I think they have a good relationship with Philly, right? The ethic is the same, and the passion and the sort of grittiness. So they always sort of clicked well with Philly. When I was right around this age before I discovered Pearl Jam, so this would have been like 91, this was like the first real concert I ever went to. My parents, this is like the old days. Gosh, my son is this age now. I like, if I did this now, I'd probably be arrested. But me and 3 friends went to see Van Halen in 91 at the Spectrum. And one of our parents just dropped us off outside the Spectrum. And then they were like, we'll be back at 11 right here. You know, no cell phones or anything. So we go to see Van Halen, and this is the, oh gosh, for unlawful carnal knowledge tour, you know, Run Around. And Right Now, I don't know if you guys know or care about Van Halen. And they're you know, it's Van Halen. Like I get what they are. And I'm 15 or something. Their opening act was this unusual band called Alice in Chains. And no one knew what the hell to make of these guys because, again, it's, let's say 91, it's Philly. It's a Van Halen crowd. This is a beer and party band. We want to see, you know, we want to get drunk, and we want to see Eddie play Eruption, and we want to, you know,
Panama and Hot
Panama,
for Teacher, Jump and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The stage spins when they play Run Around. It spins around.
Right.
And then you have this group, and it was, you know, Lane Staley must have been, you guys can do the math. I'm 25 years old, 23 years old or something.
Ooh,
And
Dirt probably wasn't even out then. Yeah.
I mean, nobody knew who they were.
And
And they were not going to pander to this Philly Van Halen crowd. The Philly crowd turned on them in a way that only a Spectrum crowd could have turned on them, to the point where people started sort of rushing the stage, and the security was kind of like half-assedly doing its job, like kind of picking people off, but kind of letting them through. And at one point, Lane Staley picked up his mic and was using not the bottom end of it to like fend people off.
Wow.
And then I guess I can't really repeat what but I remember him saying, I wonder if there's video of this somewhere. I remember him just like sort of stopping after they got 3 or 4 songs in and just saying like, is there cursing on this show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do what you
just
need
like,
to do.
just like, F you, Philadelphia, you're a bunch of blanks. And at that point, the crowd was kind of like, okay, maybe this guy's all right after all, you know, kind of like
He won him over.
respected. Yeah. And then, you know, you watch them blow up and you're like, I saw them. Like, I didn't mean to. That wasn't the point of the show. But I can always say it was probably probably very few people, I would say, have seen Alice in Chains live, right? Because he died, with Lane Staley, because he died so young.
They were notorious for not touring. I think Lane hated touring, and I think that's kind of why the mystique of their Unplugged is so like, yeah, I get chills whenever I watch that.
Yeah, I think part of it too is they were trying to keep him off the road because they knew he would just get strung out on heroin. They couldn't watch him if he was on tour. You know, it's harder.
Interesting. Well, I consider myself lucky, although I'm sure that I wasn't like, these guys are brilliant. I'm sure I was like, shut up, we want to hear Jump.
We talked about, so, you know, from 96 on, like, you hadn't seen them since. What's it like, you know, just kind of, have you been intaking shows? Have you been listening to bootlegs? Like, how have you gotten your fix from Pearl Jam since the Randall's Island show? So they were, I think, the first band, correct me if I'm wrong, but to really make their live stuff widely available, right? Yes, to the public. Like, Grateful Dead stuff was available, but
right.
You know, I think through kind of the tape trading means, and then they made stuff, you know, available over time. But yes, in 2000, Pearl Jam made everything.
They just
2000
opened the vault, and I love that about them, because you can take a song that you love and you know, just try it out. Yeah, I just pick one at random. You know, like if you go, oh, let me hear this song, and you can just go, oh, I'll listen to I'm making this up, you know, the September 14th, 1998. And there's so many interesting varieties in there. One of the things about Pearl Jam, you guys are probably just old enough to remember this, but there were certain record stores, not the Sam Goody's, not the Tower Records. There was independent record stores. There was one called like, oh gosh, am I going to get it wrong? How could I, like, there were 2 or 3, you know, in little shopping malls that would sell bootlegs, illegal bootlegs. And I'm talking like when they came out.
Yep.
And they were wicked expensive. Like they would be like $45 for a double.
At least.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I owned a handful of them back then. I was willing to pay for them. And it was like, but that's a big ticket item if you're going to buy one of them. And I
like
think,
No Fucking Messiah or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. They would have the little names. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a little bit of a bummer, not a bummer, but it's, kids today, right? Think of the effort you used to have to go through to get a live track, right? And then there was a way to dub it, and like you could copy a CD onto a tape and all this. They don't have that experience now. They're kind of spoiled. They can just go on Spotify or whatever. But through the breadth of their live stuff has allowed me to just, hear things in a different way. But there's times when I'm just like, give me that album track. Like, I just want the produced, full blast version. But they don't lose a damn thing. I mean, they're just, they're better live. I mean, there's no substitute for seeing them live. And by the way, speaking of, when COVID is over, right? And when they play their first show, which I'm sure you two will be at, the two of you, not the group you two.
Trying to.
Oh, yeah.
Andy and John,
us and everyone else. Yeah.
But you guys will find a way. You guys should get special access or something.
Well,
what is the first song they should play post COVID at their first show?
See, yeah, this is something that I would love to ask Ed if he has thought about this. And I don't want him to tell me what it's going to be, but I would love to know if he's thought about what that first song back is going to be. I think it's going to be Long Road.
Yeah, that's my gut instinct is it's Long Road. And
that could be. It feels a little on the nose, but yeah, I get it.
It might be like this 3-song of Long Road into Release into
River Cross, even could be River Cross.
Present tense, yeah.
Couldn't even Alive be part of that? I mean, again, talk about on the nose, but
sure. Yeah, I think all of the songs that you would expect to be played would be played at that show, and it wouldn't feel like a greatest hit show or anything like that.
Right.
They would just find a way to make everything work. And
it's going to be one of the most meaningful shows they've ever played when they come back.
It has
100%. Can you imagine though? I know it's so like obvious, but can you just imagine if that when that moment happens, if they just open with the riff from Alive, like, wouldn't you pass out?
Oh, wow.
That would be something.
Yeah. I mean,
that would be one of the all-time great performances of Alive.
Yeah, absolutely. But it would also make sense too, because it would kind of bring the crowd together, and it's kind of a message to everybody that we're all here together.
It would have to be a 90-minute version of Alive. Like, they wouldn't be able to stop.
Just hey chants throughout like 40 minutes long.
Like, how do you stop playing that song?
Right, exactly. It's hard
at this point.
Yeah, no, what would song 2 be? So let me ask you guys this also, because you guys have such a depth of knowledge. What is a song that I'm a fan, a longtime fan, since going back decades, but I don't have the sort of deep knowledge you have. What is a song like a guy like me would not know of that I should check out when I'm done with this?
I'll let you go first.
Love Boat Captain.
Say it again, John.
Love Boat Captain.
Love Boat Captain
from Riot Act.
I don't know that. Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
See, I thought John was gonna say Of the Earth, but that's one.
Of the Earth is very good.
That's a very, very deep cut for somebody that kind of likes the building songs and the songs that kind of soar.
Yeah, you'll dig it.
That's
I do like that.
Not a song that they ever produced a studio version of. It's only been played live.
Huh.
So
Of the Earth, yeah.
But it's incredible.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of more like 2000 era songs that I can. Inside Job would be a really good one.
Okay.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go Love Boat Captain and Inside Job, and I'll tell you guys.
You'll be impressed. Those are two of the modern classics, the later era classics.
Absolutely. Have you taken in the new record at all, or?
No, I have not. What do you guys think of it?
Like it. I really like it. Yeah,
much better than the last two. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. And we're coming on, just almost a year now that the record's been out, and it's just kind of felt weird that we haven't seen anything live from it, because by this point, you kind of know which songs are sticking with you because of how you intake the live tracks.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. Nobody has played. It's a crazy thing. What's the best track off it?
John and I probably have differing opinions on this.
Yeah, we probably do. I like some of the kind of the more mid-tempo stuff on there. I like Retrograde, River Cross, Buckle Up, All Right. Some of the more kind of moodier, kind of slower stuff on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the straight up rock and roll stuff. Quick Escape is fantastic. Whoever Said is a really good way to open the album. Something I didn't love at first, but really kind of grew on me.
Yep.
And even Dance of the Clairvoyants, I thought by this time, and again, maybe it's the factor that I haven't seen it live, because a song like Mind Your Manners is one that I loved right away, and then you see it live every single show because they're promoting the album. You're okay, a little
Right.
tired of it by now, but a year later, and I really still love Dance of the Clairvoyants. It's just this weird, highly produced, really well produced song that kind of sounds like a Talking Heads song, sounds like a whole different whole mess of things. So yeah, I would check that out, because that's
Okay.
I don't think there's any other song like it in their catalog.
You're saying there's this group Pearl Jam. I should check out their new. Okay, I will.
Gee, okay,
No,
maybe I'll try it.
What is you guys' relationship with Hunger Strike? Like, is that canon? Does that count? And let me just tell you guys, I always misunderstood that song, in that I feel for most of my life, probably until until I saw the documentary or something. In my perception, Hunger Strike always was like a super group that they formed after they were both huge. They were like, as a goof or whatever, the two of them were like, Cornell and Eddie were like, let's get together, let's combine, let's just have fun. But of course, I'm sure, you guys well know, it really predates any of Pearl Jam's big stuff.
It's funny because Temple of the Dog was being recorded in Ed's first or second week up in Seattle.
Right.
So while they're, getting stuff rehearsed like Alive and Even Flow, they call him in, and Chris Cornell, obviously he meets him the first week, and Chris is like, hey, do you want to sing along with me on this song? Sure. And it seemed to work out really well.
Yeah, that's his first appearance on a record.
Right. Does it count? Is it part of Pearl Jam canon, so to speak?
It's part of the canon, but it's not Pearl Jam per se. It's because they've played it live with Cornell and without Cornell. They played it with Corin Tucker from Slater-Kinney, Bren Birdwell from Band of Horses. So they as Pearl Jam have played it live, but they've also invited Chris to play it with them, like at PJ20. So
it's almost like part of their prehistory almost. It's
right.
It's one of the building blocks that made Pearl Jam,
And then another one that that always was sort of kind of lost because it was never really on an album was State of Love and Trust, which again, I don't know where that, because it's on singles, of course, but I don't know where that falls exactly in that early chronology.
It's like it's mid 1992. It's right when they were the hottest band on the planet, and it's right there. So
they already were established.
Oh yeah,
they started playing it in. They started playing it in July of '91.
Right.
So it was one of the first songs they wrote probably after 10 was recorded.
Okay, that makes sense. Sort of the way it sounds, all of that.
Yeah,
and Breath, which was also on singles, that was another week one song that they had.
That's the best soundtrack ever, right? There's no
yeah, I would think so.
I mean,
it's up there.
Oh my God, what's on? All right, so Drown, right, from Smashing Pumpkins is on there.
Mm-hmm.
That Smashing Pumpkins song.
The song from Mudhoney
Wood
is on there, right?
Wood from Alice in Chains, Overblown.
Wood.
Birth Ritual, Soundgarden.
Crown of Thorns.
Nearly Lost You by Screaming Trees.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Oh, Nearly Lost You, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. God, that's good. All right, I'm listening to that tomorrow.
What did you choose for your wish list?
Okay, let me think. And they had these specifications about you could only do a certain number, right? 2 or 3 live tracks. At first, I gave them more live tracks.
Oh, I did all live tracks.
Oh no, they told me they only wanted 2 or 3 live tracks.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I started with Release, and I wanted it from the show I told you guys about, but they said the soundboard wasn't good enough or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it has to be an official. Yeah.
Right. There's only certain. Then I went with Porch, the album track, like I just told you guys. Footsteps. I said any track can be the studio version. State of Love and Trust from the Spectrum in Philly, the closing series in the Spectrum in 2009. These guys are so good. For some reason, I thought the date I gave them was the final concert in Philly. And these guys go, no, that's actually the first night of the final 4-night closer. I was like, man, you guys are, I'm talking about encyclopedic. And the kid just said it to me. The producer just knew it off the top of his head. Rearview Mirror from the show. No, Rearview Mirror from the Randall's Island show.
Okay.
Then Just Breathe from Austin City Limits in 2009.
That's a good one.
Yep. Just Breathe. I acknowledge is fairly obvious, and then I closed. And this is my jersey, the Eddie cover of Growing Up.
Perfect.
Which he did.
Atlantic City, right?
No, the one. Well, I asked for. Gosh, which one did they use? I asked for the one he just did this Christmas. He did
The
one from
Matter of
Hope.
Time one from the EP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're gonna take on Growing Up, that is like the national anthem of New Jersey, and like you best not f that up. And it's hard. And there's been crappy versions out there, not by Bruce, God forbid, but other people have tried to do it, and it's embarrassment. But Eddie, not only nailed it, but he even elevated it a little bit. I don't say that to belittle Springsteen, but that the first time I heard that, my jaw was on the floor. Just he felt that song. He didn't just cover it. He felt that. So that is
I got to see Ed solo in 2009, and he did Me and Bobby Jean, and it was one of the highlights of the show.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's they're good with the covers. The cover that always gives me chills when I see him do it is of is it Chloe Dancer? Is that the song?
Yeah. Crown of Thorns and Chloe Dancer.
Yeah, exactly. The clip of him doing that the first time, and I don't know if it's the only time, but the first time he did that is
the anniversary show. Yeah.
It's the anniversary of Andrew Wood's death, is it?
The 10th anniversary.
10th anniversary of
Pearl Jam's first show. Yeah.
Oh, their first show.
But they've played it probably 20 or 30 times since then.
Yeah.
The reason Eddie is so good at covering is because he doesn't cover, it seems to me he doesn't cover anything lightly. And it seems like he thinks about it and what does it mean to me?
Yeah.
And you can see that with the Andrew Wood cover, and you can see it with the Growing Up cover as well.
Yeah, I saw them do it in 2016, and afterwards he went over and gave Jeff a hug and gave Stone a hug, and man, even 26 years later, he still feels it, and it's still a big moment for them.
Yeah. I wonder if he still feels a little bit like a Seattle outsider, right? Because he was the new kid.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Not to psychoanalyze too much. What's the best venue that you all have seen them at? Fenway, Wrigley
Field.
Wrigley?
Yeah, I always go back to Madison Square Garden. That's my home.
Yeah.
That's my home base. I've seen them there 5 times. But I've been to both Fenway and Wrigley as well. I would say that Wrigley felt like there was more of a mystique than Fenway did, and maybe it's because I saw them at Fenway all 4 times that they played there.
Right.
So it kind of wore off after a little while. But Wrigley's fantastic. They're gonna end up playing there again at some point in the future. Find yourself there because it's going to be an amazing experience.
Yeah. Did you have plans to see them on this Gigaton tour before it got canceled?
No, now that it didn't occur to me, but my God, I will, it's going to be impossible to get tickets when they come back. But I have had a reignition with them over the last 6-8 months. So I am all in. Do they go down in history? You know how when a guy goes in the Hall of Fame, you go, what hat's he going to wear if he played for 2 teams? Do they go down in history as a Seattle band or a Chicago band or a Montana band?
Seattle, 100%.
Seattle, right?
Yeah, it's 100% Seattle. They have roots in San Diego and Chicago. And
but Amen.
Montana.
Amen's from Montana, but Amen
Right.
and Gossard with the whole scene.
Oh, and they do such a good job of whenever they go to those locations, making it feel like they are hometown shows. You wouldn't think how many bands actually go and play Missoula, Montana. Not very many, but when they do go there, they're playing at the Grizzly Stadium. That's a big show for them. And it's usually a show Jeff will make the set list, and it'll be a pretty big deal.
That's awesome. I have 2 quick parent concert stories for you. My mom, who is a 71-year-old, Jewish woman, great, wonderful mother, saw Hendrix live when she was a teenager.
Did he open for the Monkees?
I don't know.
That's a legit story. Yeah,
no way.
My friend's mom, Matt's mom, went and saw Hendrix open up for the Monkees.
Holy,
he was booed.
Right.
He was booed out of the stadium.
Listen, it's like Lane Staley opening up for Van Halen. They're not there
That's
to
right.
see. They're there to see the damn Monkees.
Right.
Same idea. Yeah.
That is insane. And my dad, who was a little more of a gritty guy, a rock and roll guy, he was at Woodstock, the original Woodstock.
Wow.
And he just said basically like, his roommates were like, there's some concert on a farm upstate. Let's go. And he said he like woke up one morning and I guess the guy he was with had left or gone with a girl or something. And his friend left a note stuck on a stick in the mud saying like, went towards the medical shed or something. It's equivalent the 1969 equivalent of texting, I guess.
Wow.
But my dad was at the original Woodstock, so he has some street cred, I guess.
I think we touched up on everything. That was great. I mean, is there one? I'm going to ask you one question. Is there one song for you? And we talked a little bit about release, but is there one song that really sticks out as the one? I like to say that there are songs that define us as fans. And like I have Brain of J that really, I think has always been my song. John's is In My Tree. We have a couple other friends of ours that we attribute songs to. Is there one, do you think, that you can attribute yourself to as saying like, this one is mine? Like if you want anybody to know you by a song, which would it be?
The one that hits me, that it really hits home for me lyrically and the overall just tone of it is Porch. And again, I know it's popular. I know it's not like a deep cut. It's maybe a second layer cut or something, but just the Hear My Name part. And that when he swings into that chorus, like, I don't know that anything quite hits me like that. And at the end, I just love, when he's just sort of like letting it go at the end of that song, right? Never again. I mean, man, something about that, something about the, like, I don't know, that almost like defiant, here I am, this is me, hear my name, I'll take a good look, this could be the day. That speaks to me really
also,
loudly.
You're starting that song, what the fuck is this world?
I love that.
That catches you right away, right?
Coming to you, you're right. Leave
and
a
still
message.
one of their best live songs still after 30 years.
Oh,
yep. It's
100%.
Always going to be played in some kind of closing role, either the main set closer or encore closer, wherever it is.
Yeah. That's the one I'm going to go with.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, this was really fun, guys. Thanks so much. I really like listening to you.
Thank you.
I really love and appreciate your passion for this. I think it's so energizing. You're going to get me back on a deeper kick than I've been in a long time, but it's great to listen to you. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for Ellie for coming on here. And oh man, that was great. And obviously
fantastic.
He hasn't been to a show since 1996.
We got to get him to a show.
We got to get him somewhere. Absolutely. Because like it seems like he's craving.
He's overdue.
Yeah, he's absolutely overdue for something like this. So yeah, we give him all the props in the world, and he's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got a podcast and a book. Why don't you tell him about that?
Yeah, his book comes out in July. It's called Hatchet Man: How Bill Barr Broke the Prosecutor's Code. If you're interested in the kind of the legal side of politics, I'm sure that'll be a great read. Comes out in July. And you can also listen to his podcast. It's called Third Degree. I'm sure you can find that wherever you found us. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, give him a follow on Twitter. I think it's just his name, Ellie Honig. So yeah, check him out there. And yeah, I'm sure he'd love to talk Pearl Jam with you.
Absolutely. And hey, if you liked us and you want to help us and contribute to us and what we're doing, Live on Four Legs podcast is on Patreon. So head on over to Patreon if you want to support the show a little bit. We have 3 different tiers. If you want to listen to our exclusive episodes, we just did about a week ago, we did an episode on present tense and kind of going through the live evolution of the song and looking into how it changed from, 1996 until what we know of it today. And we've done that for a lot of songs. Those are our favorite things to do over on our Patreon account. If you want to head over there, patreon.com/live on 4 legs to help contribute to the show and what we're doing over here. And we're trying to get to 100 people. We're trying, because once we get to 100, we're going to throw a massive party for all the Pearl Jam fans out there. So it's good stuff to look forward to. And look, we'll have an episode coming out this week for Chicago 1992 to look forward to. And that should be very exciting. But until then, hey, I think we said it all in there. Like this could be the day, right? Like the passion that comes from Porch. I think we're gonna close with a little Porch here. Why the hell not? Because it's just fantastic, and his passion for it made me want to just listen to the original version. So we're gonna just play a little snippet of it right here for you. So this may be the end. We're here, but not for much longer. And although we may be parting ways, I miss you already. I miss you always. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And thanks to Ellie again for coming in and sharing his Pearl Jam story. We'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What the fuck is this world? Run into you didn't leave a message, at least I could have learned your voice one last time. Daily mind feel this could be my time by you. Would you hit me? Would you hit me? All the bills flow by and initiatives are taking off.